What happened on this IU bus has some students and administrators asking questions about racial overtones. We'll look into 3 separate incidents on campus in just 1 week.
And what's the price of distracted driving? We'll hear from one Indiana couple whose lives changed when the driver took her eyes off the road.
Plus, Indiana University has new royalty. We'll show you the woman wearing the crown of Miss Indiana University.
Hello and welcome to IU NewsNet. I'm Szu-Min.
And I'm Maxwell Glenn. 3 incidents in the span of 1 week are raising questions about racial tensions on campus. And it happens to occur on Black History Month. IU NewsNet's Kendall Yankowski joins us with the details.
One alleged incident was at the rec center, another on a scooter, and yet another on an IU bus. Tensions rose on an IU bus when the driver told an African-American man standing in the front of the bus to move to the back. The exchange started small.
Could you please go back? Thank you, sir.
But it escalated quickly.
Go back or get off the bus and I call the police.
When another student stepped forward that the demand was linked to the man's race.
Oh, give me a break! I'm not allowed to talk to someone.
And a few days later on a Bloomington street, this happened.
Man, if you were nicer to people, you might have a better day. You know that?
If you pay attention to the rights to the
I don't
road,
give a
dumb f.
I don't care. I'm a dumb.
A third incident actually happened before the other 2. Earlier this month, an IU junior says she was racially discriminated against when employees asked to see her identification more than once. She, however, did not file a bias incident report at 1.IU. Instead, her frustrations were displayed with IU on Twitter. I actually reached out to Andrew from the scooter video but was not able to interview him, and on Twitter he reveals that the man driving the car has since been suspended from his job and banned from campus. And as for the bus driver, she's been temporarily suspended.
Now, Kendall, are there any more details on that incident that occurred at the SRSC?
Yeah, actually, since there wasn't a formal complaint filed, the university can't really launch a full-fledged investigation, so they do encourage others who experience incidents like this to file a complaint on 1.IU.
Well, thank you, Kendall.
Yeah.
We wanted to get some feedback that puts all of this news in perspective. IU NewsNet's Mary-Kate Hamilton joins us now. Mary-Kate.
That's right. After all these potentially racially charged incidents, what is the response around campus? I talked to students and administrators to find out.
To knock down the whole totem pole, which is why conversations like these are very important.
Coming together to achieve unity may be more difficult than it sounds.
But from my perspective, there is a large divide on a grander scale with all communities, especially here at IU.
While Black History Month is a celebration of progress, this month's racially charged incidents on IU's campus are a reminder of how far there is to go.
We all know that there's still a lot of work to be done, and that we have to continuously remind ourselves of that work, despite how difficult it can be, especially in light of ongoing quote-unquote incidents around campus or at the national level.
At Tuesday's Black and Brown Solidarity panel called Unity, Black and Latinx students came together to celebrate their differences.
We all have these different cultures. What can we find within each other's cultures that can connect us?
Black students make up just 4% of IU's student body, while Latinx students make up only 5%. Yet 76% of IU's tenured track faculty members are white.
You have laws against segregation, but we have de facto segregation, so that you have currently entire communities. Never mind communities, we can look at our own universities. Our own universities are predominantly white.
The Unity panel was a forum for the exchange of ideas, but for the students in attendance, it was also a call to action.
At the end of the day, we could talk about it till the moon goes down and stuff, but ultimately it's all about action. We gotta make a change, and it's now.
The Neil Marshall Black Culture Center will continue to host events to celebrate Black History Month through the end of February. And the Neil Marshall Black Culture Center is hosting an event tomorrow called Blacklit at 6 p.m. in the Grand Hall.
And Mary Kate, will they be hosting events past the end of February?
Of course, yeah. Just because this month is Black History Month, the Neil Marshall Black Culture Center celebrates all year round, so they have events throughout the school year.
Thanks, Mary Kate.
There's a similar allegation that centers around a controversial vendor at the farmers market. Schooner Creek Farms drew attention this summer after its owners were alleged to be connected to a white supremacist group. Now, Schooner Creek is suing the city, Mayor Hamilton, and 2 farmers market officials. They claim the city asked them to not speak out while also siding with the protesters, violating their First and 14th Amendments. Some IU students met Tuesday evening to discuss the controversy.
So I guess the question is there a relevant government interest here? And is the action of the City of Bloomington narrowly tailored enough to pursue that government interest?
The City of Bloomington has not commented on the lawsuit. IU NewsNet will continue providing updates as the story develops. Local members of the Black Lives Matter group are upset over local coverage of that controversial Schooner Creek's farm vendor, and they are calling for a boycott. The group say that the Herald Times newspaper failed to get the opposing view when they profiled the vendor, which amounts to, in their words, supporting white supremacy. They also want a boycott of the farmers market. Their news release says the market no longer has what they call a safe, civil, and welcoming environment. Neither the Black Lives Matter Core Council, the Herald Times, or farmers market workers replied to our request for comment.
The price to live on campus will go up again. IU Board of Trustees approved a price increase for student room and board. This amounts to a $375 increase for the 2020 to 2021 school year. This is nearly 4% more than last year. The price of the room and board will also increase at other IU campuses. And speaking of rising prices on campus, IU's dining fees will also go up. The cost for the IU meal plan will increase by $100 next year. The meal plan is required for any student who lives in a residence hall. The university says the increase will help offset the cost of renovation and expansion. The rate increase is effective for the 2020 and 2021 school year.
An IU sorority is under cease and desist as of this week. The Division of Student Affairs added Kappa Delta to a list of organizations on disciplinary status. All social events are suspended, and restrictions on new member activities are in place. Heidi Roy, the Director of Communications for Kappa Delta's headquarters, said in a statement, the chapter is on an interim restricted status as we partner with the university to look into a report of inappropriate behavior. They would not comment on specifics.
There's a lot of talk about the environment, but what are IU students doing about it? The Indiana University Student Government conducted a 50-question survey about sustainability. And IU NewsNet reporter Allison Z. Hammer tells us what it discovered.
Eco-friendly habits are second nature to IU junior Bella Reilly. She says that small things, like turning off lights and reusing water bottles, add up.
People think it's kind of an all or nothing deal, and I don't really see it that way because it's so much more effective for people to do little things here and there rather than like rechange your entire life.
And she's right. The Harvard Business Review says that people who start with small change can make even more meaningful ones. It's as simple as this. The 50-question student government survey on sustainability went to IU students and faculty, and 80% of the 1,000 people who responded said it's important to them.
When we look at that on the grand scale, we found that a lot of students care very much about sustainability on campus.
But the survey indicated there's still work to do.
About 10% of the students needed more information though, and this is something that we still need to educate students about and understand why are we having such transparency issues. I think it's up to all of us in representative bodies of students, but also on the university's administrative level to start taking a stance on that.
That's why environmental change was one of IU's bicentennial grand challenges. And Sustain IU has a compatible mission.
Being sustainable not only helps the earth currently, but it also protects humans like long term.
For IU NewsNet, I'm Allison Zyhammer.
To learn more about IUSG and their survey results, you can visit surveys.indiana.edu.
Check your inbox. IU sent students and former students a message regarding the privacy breach involving their grade point averages. An internal IU GPA calculator inadvertently gave students access to other students' grades, dating back as far as 2015. IU removed the tool immediately this week. Current and former IU students received an email about their GPA privacy, stating there is no evidence that the information was used inappropriately. The email said IU is committed to protecting private student privacy. Coming up on IU NewsNet, there is no plan B for the Tokyo Olympics with the coronavirus threat.
And the same goes for Indiana's swim and dive teams. They are training for the summer games. We'll introduce you to some of the nation's hopefuls training right here in Bloomington. If you ever check social media or manually answer your phone while driving, we have a story you need to see.
Indiana may soon join other states in cracking down on distracted drivers. IU NewsNet's Andrew Lamparski joins us with a story about consequences that go way beyond any laws. Andrew?
A bill to ban distracted driving is making its way through the Indiana legislature. For one Indianapolis couple, it's personal. I spoke to them to find out why.
Tina and Lauren Smith were an active couple with a love for motorcycles. But while they were out on a ride in August, their lives changed forever.
I saw her look up and she said, "Watch out." And as soon as she said, "Watch out," I was hit, and then everything went black.
A distracted driver hit the couple as they were pulled over on the side of the road. The accident claimed both of their left legs.
Just getting dressed, you have to loop your prosthetic through one pants leg and then your real leg through the other, and that's sometimes it's hard.
I think we need people to see what can happen if you're distracted driving and you hit somebody.
And now they're using their experience to bring attention to a bill currently moving through the Indiana legislature.
Current Indiana law bans texting while driving, but it doesn't specifically ban using social media or taking phone calls. The potential new law, however, would ban any cell phone use that's not hands-free.
They said, will you testify in front of the legislature? Absolutely. Anything we can do to get our story out, we'll do it.
While they learn to adapt to their new life, they hope to prevent anyone else from facing the same trauma.
So we want people to see, if you're distracted, whether it's you're on your cell phone, you're eating, you're putting a drink down, whatever it is, what the impact of your decision can be. And that's, you can, harm somebody for the rest of their lives or take a life.
That bill passed the Indiana House but is now waiting for a vote in the Senate, where Tina and Lauren actually testified just this Tuesday. If it passes and Governor Holcomb signs it, it would go into effect on July 1st.
So did they think that the bill would pass?
Yeah, so the bill actually passed the House 86-10. So Tina and Lauren told me they're pretty confident that it's going to make its way to the governor's desk.
It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Thank you, Andrew.
Some Bloomington parents gather for what they call a life and death issue, gun violence. The group Moms Demand Action made artistic boxes to honor victims of gun violence. Over 65,000 people are killed or injured by gunfire in the U.S. every year. That's 10 times higher than many other high-income countries. The Soul Box Project has collected almost 100,000 boxes to honor those killed. Family members of victims say the pain of their loss never goes away.
It just hurts. It just hurts so bad because you oftentimes think of what could have been, what should have been.
The group plans to gather at the State House next week to oppose a bill to arm teachers and staff at schools.
2 Indiana online charter schools are currently under investigation by the FBI for misspending over $86 million. The Indiana State Board of Accounts investigation accuses the Indiana Virtual School and Indiana Virtual Pathways Academy of wrongfully collecting millions of dollars in state funds. The report says that the schools inflated the number of students and falsified student accounts. The state wants the schools to reimburse nearly $86 million. However, both online schools last August. The investigation is ongoing. We will keep you updated.
The LGBTQ+ Center is receiving a large financial boost, but the person behind it remains a mystery. An anonymous donor has pledged to match all donations up to a total of $200,000. The final date for the match is June 30th. The center's associate director says the pledge is meant to encourage donations. All money raised will go to support LGBTQ programs and resources here on campus. To learn more about the financial pledge or to make a donation of your own, you can visit supportdiversity.iu.edu. Indiana University welcomes IU senior Alexandria Ford as its Miss IU 2020, and she's going to serve the community throughout this year. 10 candidates had to make their social impact statements and show their talent as well. Miss IU wins a $1,500 scholarship and the opportunity to compete in Miss Indiana this summer. It's Alexandria Ford's first time being in the pageant. She gave a short talk on women's empowerment, winning the audience applause.
They're platforms for service to help the community, and so I thought that my goal of reaching young girls would be really feasible with this position, so that's really why I decided to apply.
Well, people welcomed the new queen at IU. The Miss IU 2019, Claudia Hernandez, said goodbye to the fans with happy tears.
Here's a reminder, we're less than 80 days until graduation. That's why IU staged a grad fair this week. The spring grad fair is a way for IU seniors to take care of all commencement needs. Seniors dressed in black caps and gowns were waiting to get their photos taken. The grad fair helps students order their cap and gown, purchase a class ring, and get answers to any other commencement questions.
The U.S. government has finally brought its citizens back from the quarantine ship in Japan. There are more than 600 confirmed cases among 3,700 people on the Princess Diamond cruise. 2 people from the ship have died. People have been stuck on board for more than a week. American passengers evacuated the ship and boarded 2 chartered flights in Japan on February 16th. An Indiana woman had no symptoms when she got on the flight, but tested positive for the virus on Monday. She's being treated in California. The number of confirmed cases within the country remains at 15. Internationally, there are over 75,000 cases and 2,100 deaths.
The coronavirus is not slowing down plans for the Summer Olympics in Tokyo. The same goes for swimmers and divers right here at IU who are training for the Games. IU regularly produces Olympians, but where are they now? Some are a lot closer than you might think. For swimmers, there's really only one goal.
Everybody wants to grow up to make the Olympics.
Indiana is one of the top swimming schools in the country, but it's also known for its post-grad training program.
We've got one of the top pro groups in the country. United States Swimming looks at us as one of the 3 most important places where Olympians are being cultivated.
After 4 years of swimming under the banners behind me in Bloomington, Hoosiers tend to stick around these parts and train with some of the best coaches in the country. But they're not the only ones attracted to Bloomington in hopes of making it to the Olympics.
I did not graduate from IU. I actually swam collegiately at Auburn.
They want to swim with the best in the world. You know, that's kind of the #1 thing on their list. And we've got that.
Every single member of our coaching staff almost has coached an individual Olympic medalist. And so that's something it's hard to find.
With an elite coaching staff, competitive training environment, and their sights set on the Olympics, the expectations are as high as you would expect.
You're just going to go, you're going to make the Olympics, and then we're going to go win medals. And so I think that having the group that we have kind of makes it a little easier to handle.
People don't come here and work 20 hours a week just to, not improve and to not reach their goals.
Honestly, it's not enough just to go. You want to go and do something. You want to go and be in the final, ideally on the podium. It's nothing like winning an Olympic medal. I like all the colors.
Either basking in the glory of the Olympics or the crushing defeat of not making it.
As the Olympics close in, the competition will only increase as each swimmer fights for that spot on the Olympic team.
Straight ahead, a fiery end to the Daytona 500. We will have an update on the Indiana racer who was seriously injured.
And after a hot start to their season, the IU women's basketball team is showing signs of cooling off. We'll hear from Terry Morin about what it will take to bounce back.
It's time for IU NewsNet Sports.
Our own Drew Fry is here. Drew, the IU women have been the highlight of basketball this season, but they've showed signs of slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, they have, and now the goal for them is going to be to see if they can start climbing up once again. The Hoosier team started off the season scorching hot, earning a win against the otherwise undefeated South Carolina en route to a program-high number 12 ranking. But this final stretch of the season hasn't been friendly to Indiana, and a home loss to Ohio State certainly didn't help matters. Max and I were at that game to watch IU's fourth quarter collapse.
The wheels are coming loose for the IU women's basketball team, and the Hoosiers are still looking for answers on how to keep from falling apart.
They're not trying to miss. You know, they're not. It's just that they are. I'm not sure it has anything to do with our offense. I don't think it does. I think we're just not able to hit shots. We're not knocking them down when they matter the most.
The Hoosiers have been trying to end their conference slate on a positive note, but have struggled lately on the road. Now back here at home in Assembly Hall, they faced a stronger Ohio State team, and their luck just ran out.
I think what's frustrating is that I feel like this has happened the past couple games. We've been not communicating on defense like we need to down the stretch, and tonight we got beat. In the past couple games, Coach has said we got lucky, and I think tonight we lost.
But it wasn't just the fact that this was IU's 14th straight loss to the Buckeyes that hurt the most. To the Hoosiers, it's about how they lost.
Well, it's losing in ways like we did today. I think that's disappointing, especially when you lead for most of the game, and then you have a 10-point lead in the fourth, and all you have to do is hit a few shots and then get stops, and we didn't do that.
Several Hoosiers did have strong games. Allie Patberg dropped 22 points, while Jalen Penn scored in double figures for her 8th straight game. But no one was celebrating their final stats after the buzzer.
That's all well and good, but you want to be playing your best basketball, right, in late February, early March. And, right now, the last 3 games, I don't feel like, and I know and our staff doesn't, and our kids don't. We don't feel like we're playing our best basketball right now.
But the solution may actually be simpler than some might think.
It's not going down for us right now, but we got to stay encouraged and stay confident that sooner or later that basket, I'm convinced, is going to find the bucket for our players.
The Hoosiers will have 3 more games to get back to form before the start of the Big Ten tournament in March.
Now, after the teams lost, the women's dropped down completely out of the rankings in the coaches' poll, but are still hanging on at number 24 in the AP rankings. Next up, the Hoosiers will try to find their footing on the road against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Meanwhile, for the IU men's tennis team, their next matchup is a big one. The Hoosiers will travel to West Lafayette to face off against rival Purdue Saturday at noon. Indiana has won 12 of its last 14 matchups with Purdue, but this year could provide a test. The Boilermakers have been near perfect at home and are led by a top 20 ranked singles player. The Hoosiers have a ranked player of their own in senior Bennett Crane, who has plenty of experience against his future opponent.
We've done pretty well against them in the past, and their team is actually pretty good this year. Their number 1 player, I think, is top 25 as well. I played him in juniors. I've played him in college. I've played him a bunch. I've never lost, but fingers crossed. Hopefully not going to jinx myself.
Crane is coming off a win against the number 8 player in the nation and has defeated 2 of the 3 ranked opponents he's faced this year. He'll likely need to step up again if the Hoosiers are going to be able to pick up their first road win of the season. And now from the court to the diamond, IU's baseball team opened up their season this past weekend down in Baton Rouge, where they played a 3-game series against number 11 ranked LSU. Indiana struggled in its season opener, only totaling 3 hits in Game 1. But each game got progressively better for the Hoosiers. In the Saturday night series finale, sophomore pitcher Braden Tucker made his first career start and helped lead IU to its first win of the new season. This weekend, the Hoosiers will travel to Mobile, Alabama to compete in the South Alabama tournament. And now let's jump into the pool. In their first home tournament of the season, Indiana Water Polo walked away with a perfect weekend. The Hoosiers went 3-0, defeating St. Francis, number 25 California Baptist, and Villanova. The 3 wins got the Hoosiers back to a winning record, as they are now 6-5. In addition to an explosive offensive weekend, the team's defense also stood out, aiding in each win. The 19th ranked Hoosiers will have a week off, and then it's back to work. They'll head to Thousands Oaks for the Cal Lutheran Invite. And we've got good news to report in a frightening story. After Denny Hamlin won the Daytona 500, The attention wasn't on him, it was on Ryan Newman after one of the scariest crashes in NASCAR history. Newman, who is from Indiana and a Purdue alumnus, was caught in a crash on the final lap. He was sent into the wall after Ryan Blaney made contact with his bumper. Corey LaJoie caught the driver's window after Newman was sent reeling in wreckage. Yesterday, Roush Fenway Racing provided an update showing Newman walking out of the Halifax Medical Center with his daughters.
I have to say, Drew, I think that was the best thing I saw on Twitter all day. His progression has just been incredible to see.
Yeah, just 2 days in the hospital, an incredible recovery, and of course everyone glad to see him doing okay.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Drew. A new art exhibit has opened in Bloomington, and it is changing the way people think of love. At Gather a Gift Shop on Walnut Street, people are encouraged to write a love letter to themselves and pin it on the wall. It's designed to help people focus on their own goodness and make a connection with others in the process. You leave a letter and you take a letter. Two friends who walked in to buy a candle left with something they never expected. One letter in particular caught their attention.
You are allowed to take time to grieve.
Life can be so heavy.
And Lord knows you have been in a season of suffering.
And that is all that it is, a season.
Love, my dearest, this too shall pass.
This really stood out to us because we recently lost our other best friend.
So when we came across this, it just really seemed to speak to our experience right now.
If you want to participate in Listen to Love, it will be open inside the Gather Gift Shop on Walnut until the end of the month.
That's IU NewsNet for now. I'm Szu-Min.
And I'm Maxwell Glenn. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and check in with the IU NewsNet daily on Instagram. From all of us at IU NewsNet, including everyone behind the scenes, thank you for joining us.